Hi everyone, my name is Steve Gaynor and I am the Community Coordinator for socialbizug.org, and I am absolutely delighted to have today as our Member of the Month, Miss Femke Goedhart. Femke, how are you today?
I'm fine. How are you, Stephen?
I'm doing very well. Now, it's very early here where I am, but it's not so early where you are. Would you mind telling us where you are physically right now?
I'm physically in the Netherlands. I'm sitting in my home office, actually, working and doing some assignments for one of my customers.
I would love to see the Netherlands.
Well, right now you wouldn't because it's quite gray and rainy and not that nice.
Oh, okay.
Probably in Orlando right now, to be honest.
Well, okay. Let's get started. If I may, please give me your elevator resume. Who do you work for? What do you do? If you can say, what's your job title? Just basic rundown.
Okay, well, I'm an independent business consultant slash business analyst, and I help organizations make a success of their social enterprise, document management, and process management solutions. That can be done through improving efficiency, productivity, return on investment, all those kind of topics that are important to making a success out of your project. And my focus in that is mostly on the functional and the user side, because often that is the side that is still forgotten, but is very crucial to making these projects a big success. So I do a lot of adoption programs. I'm right now involved with a big customer where I'm running a lot of adoption topics and a lot of adoption projects, sorry. And well, in a way, you could say I'm like a translator between management, the techies, and the users, so that each of them understand the goals and the requirements, but also the stumbling blocks that can make or break your projects.
That's a very unique position to be in, I think. The way you put that as a translator, between geeks and normal people, basically.
Yes. Yes. Well, in a way, I am more or less in between there in a lot of situations. And I love that role because it is a role that's not that easy because you need to be able to talk to both sides and understand the restrictions and the problems of each of those. I know a lot of people that do adoption programs or adoption consultancy, and they're very focused on the user side, which is fine, which is really good because you need to be focused on that side. But if you don't have an inkling of what's going on the technical sides or the restrictions that the technical side brings with it, then it could be kind of difficult to really run a good program. So I try to be in the middle there and to really see both sides and help both sides understand the other side as well.
All right, well, then that's a perfect segue for my next question. Can you describe a recent challenge you had and what you did to overcome it, to solve it?
Okay, well, one of the customers I'm working at right now, one of the things we're running into is that they implemented a social business solution a few years ago, and they did run a quite extensive adoption program at that point. But over the years, the adoption was more or less outsourced to a different departments, and that department kind of discussed, is this really our responsibility, which meant that in the end, adoption was kind of dropped and it wasn't formalized anymore. So the problem right now that they're facing, and that we're still working on, by the way, it's not solved at this moment, is that there really isn't a formal adoption program. And we really need to look at how do we get users back into using this software, because software changes over time, and especially a social platform like IBM Connections in this case, there's a lot of new features in there. And if you don't continuously explain and tell the users what this means and what's coming out and how they can use it, they will not know how to use it. So as I said, we're still discussing options and possibilities, but one of the things I've started doing in a very small way is actually, instead of just answering individual questions, I try to create small videos of how certain problems can be solved, usually about 2 or 3 minutes, where I just show them, okay, this is how I do it. and I post those videos to that social network so that they can actually see it and other users can use it as well. And I see a big success there because a lot of users are linking to it and using those small videos, which they find much easier to use than a handwritten instruction or a manual or anything, as a starting point of how to get on and using the software. A big thing in that is that I don't explain the software. I try to explain a business problem and try to show them how I solve that problem instead of just explaining, hey, click here, click there, because that's not interesting. How can a product help you solve your business problem? That is the key of what you need to do.
I couldn't agree more. I often write up procedures here at my job, and no one would read them, let alone follow them. And so I started, just like you, I started doing some short videos, and that worked.
Yes.
So yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. Okay, so now you recently did a webcast for us, Learn to Integrate IBM Connections with Your Existing Document Management Platforms. Can you give me an overview of what's in that webcast and maybe a tip or a trick or two?
Okay, well, the webcast I did mainly because I do find that it's very important to understand the differences and the possibilities of document management, because still a lot of information in our organizations is being managed in the form of documents. Even though we have social platforms where you can use blogs or activities or wikis, people still love that Word document or that PDF or that Excel file. And over time, you've seen that there's so many different systems being brought into the organization where people can store that information or those files, that it gets very confusing to the users, but also to the organizations as to where to store what. So the first step to really get a grip on that is to understand what is out there and what kind of tools are we using as an organization, classifying the information, classifying the systems, and then making informed decisions on how to either change that, integrate that, or migrate that, so that you get a clearer vision actually of where you need to store your information. So that's what that session was about. A lot of that is about just understanding the differences between the systems and then also seeing the opportunities of how to use the different systems together, integrated or also separately, because in certain cases you really do need to make a choice as to where to store what.
Okay, yes. And everyone out there, if you haven't watched the webcast, I strongly recommend it. It's really, really good. So let's lighten the mood here just a little bit. I heard through the grapevine that you might have something to do with something called social connections. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Okay, well, yes, Social Connections is an international user group for IBM Connections users, and I've been a part of that for a few years now, with an intermittent pause, I have to admit. We organize semi-yearly events. Is that the right word for it? So every 6 months we try to organize an event, and we organize these all over the world. So the last one we did was in November in Stuttgart, Germany, and the next one will be hopefully in June, somewhere on the east coast of the US. And we're still working on a location and an exact date, but we will definitely be telling that to the world as soon as possible, because it's just a great way of getting together with other people that are using IBM Connections, to learn from each other and to meet other customers, business partners, but also IBMers that know a lot about this product and can help you improve on your own implementations.
Excellent. All right, this is it. Now we're down to the wire. So this is the most important question of the interview. Are you ready?
Oh, I don't know for sure, but let's ask it.
All right. What is your favorite movie and why?
Well, that's a difficult one because I don't watch movies that often, to be honest. I should probably say Star Wars now, but like I said, I'm not really that much of a nerd because I'm intermittently so in the middle there. which is kind of funny because I'm not really much of a Star Wars fan. The last one was the first film I actually watched completely out of that whole range of Star Wars movies. But I have to admit that, let me get it. I did buy BB
A
as soon
BB-8.
as it came out. So yes, my friends know that BB-8 is running through my house regularly. I think I'm one of those people that like the merchandising better than the movie. Yeah, and you probably can't see it, but if you look at the back there, there is a Lego model of RD2D as well.
Excellent.
I like the merchandise. Star Wars itself was, it's okay. It's not that much of for me. But other movies I really like, things like Forrest Gump or The Green Mile.
Oh, both excellent.
Yeah, those kind of movies I really love. So yeah, that's just me.
Well, Femke, I'm sorry we're out of time. I could actually talk to you for a very long time. Thank you so much for taking the time. And everyone out there, again, if you haven't watched her webcast, please do. And I will see you on the site. Bye-bye.
Thank you.